All right, everybody, what's going on, man? How y'all doing? And welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk. This is a show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Sea Wells, coming at you. And as you can see on the screen today, from the thumbnail, um, the title of this video is Southern Football a Destination Job? And I'm gonna share my thoughts on why I feel the way I feel. Just some background for why I'm doing this video. As y'all know, Southern fired Coach Dooley probably about little bit what, like three weeks ago or something like that. And so the coaching search has been going on, and there hasn't been a lot of concrete information. There's seems to not really be a direction to this thing. I mean, maybe it is behind the scenes, but right now it doesn't seem like it from the outside. So I wanted to just share my thoughts on why I feel the way I feel about this job right now for Southern. So before we do all of that, man, y'all hit those socials: Facebook is SWAC Talk, Twitter SWAC Talk 76, Instagram SWAC Talk. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it. Feel free to comment your thoughts on the topic, and hit that join button, man, to become a member of the channel. Or you can hit a super thanks to show your support that way, or you can donate to the Cash App $ SWAC Talk. Anything will be appreciated. Please and thank you. So I'm gonna just go ahead and start this thing on off, man, with this thought right here. Southern is a top. I mean, out of 12 teams, when you consider all factors, success as a program over the years, an ability to recruit in a good area, ability to win, solid fan base, everything that goes into making a program in the league. Southern is definitely one of those top teams in that league. I feel like there's 4 or 5 top jobs in the league, and Southern is amongst those top 5. Taking off the Homer glasses and everything. Yes, I got a Southern shirt on right now, but taking off all of that, I don't think Southern's a top 2 or 3 job in this league right now, and there's a variety of factors. First and foremost, I want you to ask yourself as a viewer, if you were a coach, would you consider Southern as a place to continue your career, start your career, further your career, whatever the case may be? I can understand if anybody would be hesitant to take this job. I mean, number one, this is a program that's on their fourth coach since 2021. Since the spring of 2021, this team is on its 4th coach. Now, there's been different circumstances for why the job has changed, hands so many times. So it's not necessarily that all those coaches got fired, and really only one coach out of that group has gotten fired. But there's still a lot of turnover over a short period of time. And I feel like I'm going to break this up into sections, and we're going to kind of work our way around, and I'm going to try to land this plane. But let's start off first. The last few years, if you go back to, let's just say, 2013, they won championship. They was 8-5 that year. They went 9-4 in 2014. Went to the SWAC championship game again. They went 6-5 in 2015, 8-3 in 2016, 7-4 in 2018 and 2017. 2018 they went to the SWAC championship game. 2019 they were 8-5, went to the SWAC championship game. 2021 spring they were 5-1. Fall 2021 they were 4-7. This past 2022 they were 7-5. This past season they were 6-5. So you're looking at a program that's only had one real losing season in that time span. They've only had one losing season since 20. Well, they've had one losing season since their last losing season in 2012. So this is a program that hasn't had a lot of down years. They've been kind of fluctuating around, being middle of the pack or a division contender. Um, so this is not a bad, on the field, the product has not been horrendous compared to a lot of other programs, but the talent level hasn't always reached the expectations. And some of that is coaching, some of that is, execution. But being in the West Division, they've either been one or two for a lot of years. So that portion that makes this a very solid job. This is a program that you can get guys in. It's you're in a great area along the I-10 corridor between, let's say, Tallahassee and Houston. All of that's within a 4 to 6 hour drive for you. You also got Mississippi, the rest of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, all of that within an 8 hour distance. So the recruiting area is fertile, and it's possible with the right people in charge for this to be a top program. Um, Looking personnel wise for this upcoming season, this will be a rebuilding year. I don't care what nobody say. Some people are gonna expect whoever comes in to take this team and automatically run back to the top. This is a rebuilding year. It was gonna be a rebuilding year regardless of who was in charge, whether you like it or not. You lost 21, 22 seniors. You probably were gonna lose some other guys in the portal. I'm talking about not with a coaching change. With a coaching change, of course, you're gonna lose guys to the portal because they don't, they have to deal with the uncertainty. They have to deal with making progress in their career. But without a coaching change, you probably were still gonna lose a few guys to the portal. So you were gonna be in a rebuilding phase. So bringing in somebody to revamp the roster, save the guys who are leaving, revamp the roster, hit the portal, and all of that. It was gonna be done. That's not to say that you can't turn it around. You can't win this upcoming season. But on paper, this is a rebuilding year, and I think you have to look at it as such. Um, so that pretty much means, like I said, on the product side, you're probably gonna win 5, 6, 7 games next year. I feel like being a team with any level of talent, you should be a team to be able to win 5 or 6 games in this league. You should be able to finish 4-4 in conference with any decent level of talent in this league. Um, so to me, on the program side of things, still a solid job. I mean, yes, you're going to have holes to fill, but with the portal and everything, that's something that you got to kind of take into account. That can help you more than hurt you, regardless of when you bring in guys, because this is a program who has a name that's gonna recruit itself. So that's that, and I see a lot of people, saying we need to get a coach in um because of the portal. Well, the portal opens the portal opened on December 4th and it closes in January. That doesn't mean you can't sign guys, at any time. You want to have a guy in place, to kind of, start to battle and get guys signed for signing day, because signing day is December 20th. So you only have a couple of weeks to get somebody in, to keep the recruits that you have, and be active in the portal, to get guys to take visits and all of that stuff before the signing period, which is December 20th to January 15th, before the actual signing day in February. So there's time to make those moves. It's not necessarily the end all be all. Like, it's got to happen today. If it don't happen today, we out of reach. So on that aspect, I think that this is a very good job. It's a top portion of the league job, and it will always be that, as long as the talent level is there. Um, the places that I feel like make this not be a destination job, and the first one is the administration. That the department as a whole, I don't think is run very smoothly. And one of the reasons why I made this video was because I don't like I don't like any I don't like to not have any transparency. And I feel like, when you fire a coach, you know, with games left in the season or game, whatever, when you fire a coach with some season still left, I feel like you should either already have a guy in mind or you should be in position to have a guy in a decent time, because you're putting yourself ahead of the curve by getting your guy out, and now you can interview guys. Now I know, you can't really bring a guy in until their season is done. If you're bringing in a guy who's coaching somewhere, you got to work through, coach on Monday in week 12. By Wednesday in week 12, you should have had a coach who was coaching at Memphis or somewhere. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I think that you should be able to have something in motion, and you shouldn't still be waiting around. And like I said, a lot is going on behind the scenes, but I don't have the confidence level in that group to feel like a great hire will be made. I think the main reason why I say I don't see any transparency is because I'm not asking for Southern to put out a list of guys that's candidates for the job, but I would love to have some kind of idea of concrete idea of what's going on. You know what I mean? Yes, you can ask around, and if you involved with Southern, then you got a source somewhere. We all do. We all got people we can ask questions, and they'll give us some kind of answer. Now, whether those answers are real or not, that always remains to be seen. And I got people that I could talk to, and I got people that I do talk to. Share them, because of respect to those people. But I've heard a lot of things, and none of it exudes confidence from me. And so, by that being said, I feel like when you don't have any transparency, you allow things to fester. You allow speculation. I posted on my personal Facebook page the other day that silence equals speculation. So when people don't hear anything from you, from the newspaper or whatever about the job search, um, people they begin to speculate. And when people don't get any information, their first thought process is negative. And I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna come back to that in a second. Back staying on the administration part, like I said, I don't think the department is run very smoothly. I don't think the person in charge of it is doing a great job of running the program. I don't really have a lot of faith and trust in these people to make a hire, and because of that, that makes this job not be a great job to be at. 21 games into their tenure here. You have to be able to convince a coach that he's gonna have the time to build this program. And I'm not on the Dooley should have more time train or nothing like that, because I feel like the way things were run, you had to make a change. So that's one of those different circumstances. But you have to be able to bring somebody in that's gonna understand it and accept that there are a lot of unrealistic expectations, and that makes this job tougher than it needs to be. Um, you're gonna, are you gonna be able to pay a guy to take this job when you're paying your previous coach 600K to go away? Are you gonna pony up the money for assistance, which you didn't do the last time? Are you gonna make it enticing for a coach to leave a job to take an OC job here? Or are you gonna be competitive with everybody else with your coaching salaries? Or are you gonna give the head coach 350K and leave 100K for everybody else? Are you gonna be competitive in those ways? And some of that doesn't have anything to do with the department itself. Some of it has to do with the school and the finances and all that kind of stuff, which I totally understand. But you have to make this an attractive thing. I think a lot of time people look at it like, oh, this Southern, and yes, there are going to be a ton of people interested in this job because it is Southern. But once they start to go through some things, they're gonna understand that it's not necessarily what they. So keeping it in line with the department and all of that. When you look at how everything else is running this department, the social media, the sports information, I think it's lacking personally. Like, I mean, you have signing day come around and you don't get any information on anything until like 9 o'clock at night. This is 2023. You know, and no disrespect to my folks at Valley, so don't take it that way. But when Valley can put out stuff, you know, as it's happening, and Bethune-Cookman can put out stuff as it's happening, and Pine Bluff can put out stuff as it's happening. There's no reason that you, who call yourself the standard, should not be putting things out as it happens in terms of anything like that. When you call yourself the standard, you're supposed to set the standard. And I don't really feel like Southern sets the standard. I think Southern calls themselves the standard, but I don't really feel like they are. You look at the facilities, the locker room still hasn't been completed really. All the projects there haven't been completed. There's still a lot of, the stadium is not great. Honestly, if you want to keep it 100, it's not great. The game day operations aren't necessarily great. The ticket process this season was a cluster F, to put it nicely. So I think in a lot of aspects, this is not a great job. I mean, when you look at what you have to deal with day to day, this is not a great job. There's too many chefs in the kitchen, trying to stir up the pot. People who shots go over people's head and neuter the person who's in charge, which that person I don't feel like is the right guy for the job anyway. But there's not, there's too much going on. There's too many people to appease. There's too many people who you can step on toes as an outsider, and once you do that, your goose is cooked. So in that aspect, this is not a great job. I know every school got politics. I know every school got people with money who want to call shots. But at the same time, I think it's a bit tougher at Southern. So, like I said, in that aspect, I feel like this is not a destination job at all. My final category will be the fan base. We all know the Jaguar Nation. We know that Southern travels deep, so to speak. But when you look at the numbers, this is a program that doesn't really fill up their own stadium. The Other than the 2013 season when Southern averaged over 20,000 fans, Southern has only cracked 19,000 fans in attendance once, and that was in 2022. And that was basically buoyed by Coach Dooley first year, and a high expectation and high and kind of like just a high anticipation. So really, other than that, when you look at the last, going back to, let's say, 2017, 14,000 in 17, 18,000 in 18, 16,000 in 19, 18,000 in 2021, and 17,000 this past season. Since 2022, Southern's averaged 17,000 plus fans in attendance over that time span. So you're not really filling up your own stadium. I don't even think Southern travels as great as they used to. Certain places Southern do still travel well, but I feel like the days of Southern going anywhere and filling it up, I think those days are gone. When you look at the Pine Bluff game, wasn't a lot of Southern people there. When you look at they go to Valley, or when they went to Jacksonville, I don't think there was a great crowd there. So I think that the idea of the Jaguar Nation is not the same as the reality, and that's something that has a variety of factors. There's an older population of people who were the front runners of the fan base. They're getting older. There's a group of people who are younger who maybe don't want to follow something like that. There's the casual people who are up and down. The people who gotta see the team winning before they come to a game. And having a season like last season, the numbers were down. I personally don't even think there were, a lot of those games, especially later in the season. Now, that's not to say that that amount of tickets were sold, but butts in the seats, I'm not quite sure that that's what any of those numbers were. Um, and that leads me to my main focus on the fan base side is I think a lot of people have an idea of what Southern is, and it's not really that right now. And so don't people don't have realistic expectations of the team, the the progress of the team on the field, the record, or who's gonna coach this team. I think some people feel like you can just throw a net out and anybody you pull in that's a top coach is gonna come here. That's not gonna happen. The money is gonna scare some people away. Being around a group of people who gonna be on your neck. In year one. I mean, let's keep it 100. People gonna be on your neck year one. That's something that a coach gonna have to be able to deal with. Um, just the fact that, like I said, the department people are running with things, and they're getting themselves emotionally worked up already about a hire, even if it is what it is. There's people who waiting to crap on a candidate because they don't like that guy. Oh, they never heard of that guy. There's a lot of people in this fan base who aren't that savvy about a lot of the candidates in these positions. So when they don't know a name, they automatically think bad. Now, some of these names are lackluster to say the least. And if you know who this person is and you got doubt, hey, that's cool. But if you just like, I never heard of this guy, it's bad. I can't rock with that kind of stuff because I think that once you hear a name, you need to go look at it, and you need to do a little legwork. Know who this guy is. If you know who you've seen his work and you see he's not really great at what he does, then by all means. But I think there's a lot of emotion involved in all of this from the fan base, and rightfully so. They've been burnt. The last couple of years, and I think people are kind of hard to kind of turn that back around. But a lot of that kind of makes this job not as great. What I mean? Having passionate fans is great, but at the same time, having passionate fans can be a detriment. And I think that a lot of people are fussing about who this guy is and who that guy is, but they don't even have a guy in mind who they want, or somebody who is totally unrealistic, and they work themselves up in a tizzy because the guy that they won't get that they won't will never be here, and they get themselves up in a tizzy, and they well, I'll see y'all in 3 years. Like, I feel like once a coach is hired, I'm a rock with them until they give me a reason not to. The minute you sign that dotted line, the coach is Southern, I'm with you until you give me a reason not to be with you. I'm not. If I wasn't a fan of you been coming in, I'm not gonna hype you up, but I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. I mean, if you go back to 1993, eh, I can probably count on one hand the people who in Shreveport in 1992, we beat them like 41-14, and there was people who were like, we bringing in this coach, and you see how that turned out. Same thing with Dawson Odoms. He was a guy who didn't have any real head coaching experience, maybe an interim stint here and there, but no major head coaching experience, and he took that program and got it back on track. So you know all of the previous stuff, it without context, you can't really make heads or tails of it. Um, and that's not to say that if a guy got a bad record here, he won't have a bad record at Southern, because it's always possible. But a guy who have a good record somewhere can have a bad record here because maybe he's not the right fit. I think that people just have to be able to give things some breathing room, and the fact that there's not any transparency from the people in charge to the fan base, that leads to even more confusion, even more anger, even more emotionality. It just makes it unbearable situation. So that's why I feel like right now that Southern is not a destination job, because Southern doesn't do anything to make this job attractive. They call themselves the standard, but I don't feel like they set the standard. I'm Southern all day, but I got when things are not the way I think they should be, I'm gonna say it. So You know, you can agree or you can disagree. It's all good to me. But if you do disagree, let me know why this in actual factual 2023 right now. Why is this a destination job? What would you take this job if you were a head coach? Would you and they call? Would you take this job? Taking all the factors, not just the fact that you like Southern, not not that you like Columbia Blue, not that you would like Under Armour. Take all of that into account and think about that. Would you take this job? That's my question to you. So, man, y'all sit back and check that out. Answer that question. Think about that. And like I said earlier, this can be a great job if the situations are right. But right now, they're not right. This is not a destination job. It's still a top. It's still a quality job in the conference. It's just not at the top. And if you think it is, I don't see it. You know, and we just gonna have to agree to disagree right there. So with that being said, man, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells. I'm signing out. We'll be back on Sunday with probably basketball and a little, little lead up to the Celebration Bowl, whatever. But with that being said, man, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells signing out. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe, and I'm gonna catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.